Oh boy. Yeah, I mean, I guess I should have had the expectation that it was going to wind up happening at least once. So, so be it. Let's just get this recentered. Let the stream build up in the meantime. So what this is just a tool that I built for meditative purposes, for the purposes of setting an intention, right, by rotating it and having the appropriate element at the top, right? And so whatever element's at the top is the one that's going to be represented. And then if you, put it upside down, it's interesting because it swaps these two, but these remain the same. Some of these elemental correspondences don't actually change, and some of them do. It's just an interesting kind of exercise, right? But that said, though, I'm going to be using it as well to derive hexagrams later, and that's going to be a lot of fun. And also looking at the combinations of the court cards and which ones line up with which of the I Ching elements of the Bagua. It's a really interesting exercise. MJ, I saw that, yep, and no problem, I apologize. And it may crash again, but we'll get the reading done properly regardless. And if for whatever reason it doesn't happen because of the stream, we'll just connect privately at some point tomorrow, if that's cool too. If it doesn't happen tonight. What method would you like to use? Would you want me to use tarot, I Ching? I can use the beads along with the tarot. I'll kind of let you decide, and we'll go from there. And so what I was doing in the meantime, while you're typing that, was just kind of looking at the way that we can put the beads out and read it with respect to the way that we would a normal chart. All right, and I was just pointing out the fact that we have Scorpio landed on the Nine of Cups. We also had Vesta is landing dead center in Justice, or Libra, but the Justice card. And we have the significator pointing directly into Virgo, which is the period of time ruled by the Hermit. And there's some other various correspondences here. A very important correspondence is this one right here. That one has to do with, what's this? Has to do with, let me use the red one. It might be a little better on camera. Let's see. This is your holy guardian angel. Right, it's like your higher self. And this landed directly on top of Capricorn, which also has Chokmah at that same place. This is like the divine masculine, along with Saturn directly in Capricorn. And so we should be paying attention to that as well. So this is the death card. And so it kind of refers to the idea of the dissolution of the self. But we'll get there. Or the devil, rather, the devil card. And so there's a couple of very interesting correspondences there. And so we'll take a look at that here in a moment. MJ requested tarot, so I'm just going to keep this the way it stands and just put these aside. And then we'll revisit this when we're complete. Okay? And so let's just kind of put things where they need to be to allow that to happen. Let me see. Do I have room in the... Let me just slip that in there, maybe. Expect that. Okay. There's two more that hit the ground, pardon me. I found one of them. You have to laugh because if you don't, you'll just lose your mind. And when your mind's all you have to be careful. Okay, so... Oh, boy. Okay, alright. Yeah, so, I have no idea. So what we're going to do is just move on. And when I pull them out, it'll be very clear which bead is missing. And then I can just replace it because I have replacements. And so that's what we're going to do. Okay, so in the meantime, tarot. Okay then. Never happened. Alright, let me put this where it belongs with the rest of the family. I'm perfectly fine. What do you mean? You know what the cool part about dying daily is? You never know what you're going to wind up being the next day. You know what? I think I want to get my pentacle, so hang on. Let's complicate this whole process. Let's make this whole thing way more complicated than it needs to be, because you know what? Why not? I mean, why do we exist? Other than to contribute to the entropy of the universe. Alright, and so let's do that. Let's contribute to some entropy. Okay. I want this pentacle. I'm going to set it to the tarot side. During the reading. Okay. Thoth. I like Thoth. I'm using it a lot lately. A lot. You know, I've been using a lot of the Hermetic Tarot. I've been using a lot of Lon Milo Duquette's Tarot of Ceremonial Magic. I think I found one of the beads that went flying. Did it really wind up on the desk? That's amazing. Been using a lot of Surrealist Tarot. And I've been kind of, leaving the Thoth alone for a while. And I decided, nah, you know what? Let me pull it back out. Love it. All right, love it. I have the large up on the desk. Right now showing the Ace of Disc. And I've been using the small. And so I think that's the deck that we'll use for your reading, if that's okay. I mean, I have some others if you have a preference, but otherwise I'm going to use Thoth. Am I still connected? Yeah, it's a little stressful when you don't know if you're connected, right? So, do me a favor. Throw your birthday. I don't need the year, just your birthday, your month and day in the chat. I'm going to go make a quick cup of coffee. All right, I'll be back in like 2 minutes to continue the reading. And we'll be able to, and with the exception of the internet stopping on us, we'll be able to focus on the reading uninterrupted from that point and go from there. Okay, so I'll just be back in about 5 minutes. Just want to get my coffee set and get prepared for the reading, and I'll be right back. Okay, great, awesome. December 4th, cool. Another Sagittarius in the house, great, cool. We are, in fact, the most awesome. So, see, we can just appreciate that. And interestingly, my initials are also MJ. So the MJs in the room can just bask in our superiority, our Sagittariusness. Now, I have a different deacon than you. So what I'll do, let me pop the chart up, and I'll leave it up while I'm on my break. Okay, and so that you can take a look at this while... okay. And this is what we're actually looking at, but this is the version that we're going to use because this is the world that we're witnessing. But so as far as December 4th is concerned, you're in the period of the moon in Sagittarius, whereas I'm ruled by Saturn. You're the 9 of Wands as opposed to the 10. Okay, and so we're going to take a look at that when I get back. All right. And in the meantime, then, if you have a particular question or a certain direction that you want to go, certainly, let me know. Otherwise, we'll, based on your question, I'll determine the spread, or if there's a specific question or a specific, or more general, then I may decide to do something else. Just let me know, yeah? Okay, and I'll be back in a couple minutes, and we'll go from there. Alrighty. Sorry about that. I'm feeling very clumsy. I was in the middle of making my coffee and decided, you know what I want to do? I'm in the mood to put some hot chocolate in my coffee. So I get the packet and I tear it open and I put it in. And I start up the coffee and whatever the case. And so it's, going. And then I begin to stir the stuff in as it's filling up. And it finishes. And I go to get the cup and I go to stir again. And it just spills everywhere, all over the place. So the bottom of my pants are an interesting shade of tan right now. So I just, conceded, got another packet, made another cup, and here it is. Why, yes, those are marshmallows floating in my coffee. Black coffee with a packet of hot chocolate mixed with some marshmallows. Everything. Okay, let's catch up on the chat here. I didn't even glance at the last chat, so I apologize. If there was anything good in there, I didn't see any of it. But I'm sure there was a lot of good stuff in there because you guys speak truth and it's awesome. So I'm sure it was great. I'll check it as soon as it's posted. Right, the video posts, I leave them up, but it takes a minute for the chat to click. So once the actual chat's up, then we'll take a look. So let's take a look here. I walked away from Becca because she's romantically unavailable. Okay, well, that's okay. I also burned all my bridges to a toxic online community. Okay, wow, yeah. That's what I would call a real question. You come to the right place. I specialize in a couple of things. One of the things I specialize in is crushing that kind of nonsense. The panic is real, and I understand that. So what we're going to do is define it and give it a name, and then we're going to tell it to go away. And it works. But we're going to start by looking at the cards, taking a look at where that's coming from. What's this? Because the panic has been triggered, right? So we can recognize that. But what we have to recognize is that it's being triggered. The thing that's being triggered was there before the trigger. So what we need to do is look at the source of the panic, which is much older than this circumstance. Why did you burn the bridge? Right? Karmically, there was a reason that happened. And actually, unbeknownst to you, something that you were supposed to do got done. And now you, the lower self, are trying to face and understand the why. And so hopefully I can guide your understanding of that why after I pick my ring light up, because again, everything I touch is falling right now. So give me just a moment. At the end of the day, the goal here is to find out what it is that we should be moving towards, because we're always in a state of motion, whether we're moving forward, backward, or we're standing in place vibrating. We're always in a state of motion, right? And so if we understand where we're coming from, it gives us a little bit of a better idea of what we're going toward, right? And then it gives us the option of maybe making some adjustments so that we lean in the direction that we want, right? And that's the goal here. So let's take a look. I'm going to pop the cards out. And what I'll do for the sake of the significator is I'll put your deacon up here on the desk, all right, in the large cards. And so let me just get this out of the way. And we'll go from there. The big ones are cumbersome. Let's see if I can still shuffle cards. It's funny how like clumsy it's been an interesting day of me picking up beads and redrawing lines and just strange. Yep. Seven of Cups is debauch, and what that really refers to is the idea of sort of taking joy to its degree where it's not really respected, and you wind up trying to make something more than it is, and then becoming addicted to it when you're not actually happy, right? I have this card up today. This is a card that we're going to be speaking about with respect to tarot. Right, and so I got a little off center for some strange reason. Let's try to fix that part. I'm not sure why that's there. And let's just fix that so we're not distracted by it. So, yeah, I have this card actually set aside to talk about today, so it's neat that it came out. Right, so it's... we'll be looking at that later. And that's interesting, too, because it refers to the idea of, well, we'll get there, but sort of where you are isn't where you're going to be soon. It's always in a state of motion, so the change is constant. And once we know where we are on that wheel, we know if we're going up or down. And we're going to look at that. Okay? Something tells me you're on an upswing. But that's just because I want you to be happy. And so I'm, reading into it. When it's time to... interpret the cards, it won't be my mind, it'll just be my heart. Empty cup. I'm gonna put one more. On. Let me make room. There's a funny joke. What was it when Harry met Sally, when Harry used to, he was so morbid that he would read the last page of a book in case he died, so he knew how it ended. So just in case you die, happy ending. Just want to be clear. In case the stream crashes and we don't get to finish the reading tonight, happy ending. Hang on a second. Just wait a minute. D. How's it going? I miss you in my stream. When you recognize that there's certain individuals that become part of your pack, you miss them when they're not around. That's all I'm saying. So, we're going to be looking at a couple of different things here, right? Now, the first thing that we're going to be looking at here is where are you coming from with respect to the higher world in connection to this relationship? What was the thing that led to the state that you were in that said to you, it's time for me to walk. I have the strength this time. Or, what is it that led you to this act of kind of pouring some stuff out in a public forum, right? It seems like you kind of can't go back on, right? It's out there. Some things can't be unsaid. And so, I would say, we'll get there, man. I would say, though, what we need to talk about, like I mentioned before, is the fact that the scared alone, these are normal feelings considering the circumstances you're in. Because you're not only facing the loss of the relationship, you're also facing your dark side. Right? The stuff that you did that you're not proud of, and the stuff that you're having to now face. So a lot of these things are normal. I think anyone can agree that panic in this particular circumstance, this position that you're in, is not abnormal. But if it gets to the point where it's causing you actual suffering, we have to address it. And now this is going to be your will, your mind, your heart, and your body, your current form in the lower world, as it appears in reality. And then we're going to look at 4 more cards, which are going to be the lower world reflection of that. So we'll get there in a moment. But in the meantime, let's begin up here. And what we see here is in the will is debauch. Now what debauch is that you are in a state of coming from a place of a lack of control for a very long time, potentially even for as long as you can remember. And you've had to cope with that. And one of the ways that you've coped with that is the ability to afford yourself excess. And some of the excesses that you afford yourself are emotional. Most of them are emotional. So when you extend your will, what you're actually trying to do is to fill that hole in your heart. But it never works. Because here's the deal. There's this idea of fulfillment. Fulfillment is a very important word. Because what it is that I want this thing and I get the thing that I want. I don't just get a thing. Wow, I'm really hungry. Okay, cool. Here's a really great book. Have fun reading that. That's great, but I'm kind of hungry. I appreciate the book. You can read the book. It can be amazing. Totally engaged. There's some books that I've read that I couldn't stop, or actually literally front to back read it in like 12 hours. The first book I remember doing that with was Piers Anthony's fantasy series about Xanth called I forget the name of A Talent for Bank. And anyway, I forget the name of the book. Long story short, I couldn't stop. Doesn't mean that you're going to be any less hungry by the time you're done reading that book. And so by you continuing to fill yourself with specific excesses that aren't the thing that you actually want to be filled with, it's a constant state of wanting. It's like a want cycle. The only place that pleasure, therefore fulfillment, occurs is in the junction between the actual thing you want and are asking for being met by have. It's at that place, that junction, that pleasure exists. And the moment that you get what you want, pleasure begins to diminish. The first bite of the steak is so good. The second bite's not as good. The third bite, By the end, you're not even finishing the steak. It was the best steak you could eat on the first bite, and now you won't even finish it. And tell you what, it's a 6-ounce steak and you won't finish? Yeah, I ate too much potatoes. I drank a beer too fast. I'm full. Pleasure only exists at the actual junction of the wanting and the having. Anything past that, it's diminishing. That's what keeps us alive. But now the problem is that we try to fill that want with whatever we think we want. Whatever we feel will fill that space. But, if you consider that want has a very specific shape, and there are literally infinite things that can fill that space, then that means that everything but that one thing is wrong. There's only one thing that can fill that space, and everything else is not going to satisfy. It's not going to fulfill you, right? So it's like, wow, okay, I guess it makes sense that it's really important to figure out what I want so that I don't keep, running through this cycle of want and, hopefully transform that into some having. Debauch talks about that. Debauch is the idea of some people will like stand in the shit and refuse to get out because at least it's something they control. At least they can, you know what? I know it doesn't taste as great as the thing that I want, but I can drink as much as I can handle. I can drink as much as I want. It's in my control. So I'm just going to deal with it. This is Venus in Scorpio. Venus in Scorpio. That's your will right now. That's your will right now. That's your higher self-will. This disgusting green, putrid, purple, yellow mess of like phlegm. Why? Because there's something went down, man. This isn't about Rebecca. It's not about you airing your grievances on some message board. I've aired some grievances up here. I've bawled my eyes out on this channel. I have lost my shit in frustration live. You know, I do that 3 days a week, and I stream 7. So you know, it's deeper. And we're gonna get there, right? So I'm just gonna pause real quick, read the chat, and then we're gonna go from there. Okay, so hang on a sec here. Well, yeah, not wanting to be alone is like, dude, that's the, you know how many times I've been in a relationship for that reason only? That, terrible. The truth heals all wounds. The truth heals loneliness. The truth heals suffering. The truth heals the desire to be filled with anything, and gives you the power to discern what you're filled with. It gives you the power to communicate across time and space. It gives you the ability to make the proper connections by shining your own light instead of reflecting the light of the world. And when you cast your own, then you draw attention of people that like that color. And so you're going to have natural relationships. The truth is the answer to this, and we'll get there. So, any questions on the first card, or any comment? Or would you like me to move on? I just want to pause for a minute and take a look at this beautiful piece of poetry that Brianna just dropped. I have a need for a want that I need, and doesn't want me, needs me. Having a want is such a beautiful contradiction. Having a want. I have a want. That's just beautiful. I want to have. I want to have. What's better, to want to have or to have a want? I think really the winner is the having a have. It's true. The only thing better than a really good dark coffee is a really good dark coffee with a packet and a half of chocolate in it. Delicious. Okay. Great. Yeah, and we're gonna get there, because here's the point, MJ. MJ doesn't know what you want. You are not MJ. MJ's trying to make a decision on what you want, and again, imagine having to pick from the myriad infinity of possibilities to present to somebody to make them happy. Does this make you happy? No. How about this? No. How about that? No. How about... What a guessing game, man. The fool's errand. You've already failed. So rather, what we have to do is to recognize the thing that we're trying to please. If it's the ego, you failed. It's not possible. The ego can't be satisfied because it's not actually a thing that has a place that can be filled. All it is the decider of the words. All the ego does is choose what is spoken. And it fools us into thinking that we're the ones picking the words, but we don't pick the words. Until we take agency from it, we don't. Right? So not knowing what you want is half the battle, because that lets us know where you are. And where you are is in the state of almost recognizing who you are. Because if you were walking around thinking you knew what you wanted, at least now you know that all right, this isn't what I want. All right, I don't know what I want. Okay, great. At least you're halfway there. I don't have to convince you of what you think you want isn't real, so we're good. So now we're going to get there. But, okay. I love that. So now we're going to move into this is divine mind. Normally it's the cup, but in the higher world it's sword pointed down, raining onto the cup. So that said here, the divine mind is in this beautiful place of the 10 of this wheel. And the idea here is the recognition of something very important. There's several meanings to this card. We've heard them all. The Wheel of Time. If you're on the top, you're going to be on the bottom. So don't, think too high of yourself. If you're on the bottom, you're going to be on the top eventually. And so don't think too low of yourself. And if you're in the middle and you try to stay in the middle, then it's probably safe. Right? That's the white book meaning. The Wheel of Time, the Zodiac, all this stuff. Nope. You're all the three of these things. And more importantly, you're whatever you want to be. The idea here is that the wheel, the fortune, the idea of this, the constant change is the fact that that's where we are and what we're doing at all times. The divine mind is an infinite source. And you can access that, right? So when you're trying to figure out what you want, don't think about your body. Don't think about your heart. I'm lonely. I want to be with somebody. No, you don't. You want to be heard. Loneliness is the act of wanting to be heard. Or speaking and feeling like you're not being heard. That the other won't listen. Right? And that's the act of lament. So that said, your heart is in an act of lament, which is either trying to speak and not being able to, so you're silent, or speaking but feeling like you're not being heard. That's what you're looking for when you say you're lonely. And, that could definitely be the source of what leads to the debauch. What leads you to this excess is anything to fill that space. So that the quote loneliness is drowned out. You're not fulfilled, but you're not. It's at least drowned out by the noise, the din of the falsehood. But so what we do though in the heart section here to correct that is to recognize that we actually have the ability to jump off the wheel. We don't have to turn and go up and down. Like we actually can literally step off and watch it turn on our own 2 feet, and we decide when we jump on. We jump on when it's on the upswing, and when it's about to go down, jump off. We have control of doing that, meaning that we get to decide our personality at every moment. We get to decide who we are at every moment. And so if you're saying to yourself, geez, I don't know what I want, that's fine. Well, be somebody. Be something. And by being it, the decision is going to be made based on who you're being. And so right now you're being lonely. Kind of fucked up about that thing that you did that you now have to face and everybody knows and there's no taking back. Maybe a little frustrated over the fact that you've had this relationship and you poured into something that really wound up at the end of the day to be nothing, and so it was like really a futile effort. Like all these things feel really heavy. And these are all things that are carried by you, MJ, not real you. Step off the wheel and watch all that stuff turn. It's a story that's being told, and when you step off the wheel and look at it, you recognize that that's exactly what it is. And we get to write the story because it's what we're doing already anyway. And so when you don't know what you want, or that your heart is in this place of feeling like you're step off the wheel. Step out of yourself. Like give yourself permission to pretend that you're pretending. Because we know you are. Who are you kidding? You're not fooling me. And the reason that you're not is that I'm also pretending. But I'm willing to admit it. I can't not. And what is that pretending? Am I being, like a liar? Am I being dishonest? No. No, I recognize the truth. That the ego is necessary. It speaks. I can't speak without it. It's the thing that actually talks. What I can do, though, is recognize that and take control over it. So when a thought enters my mind about what I want or don't want, or that I'm lonely, or that I'm urgent because something needs to be done that isn't getting done, and it leads to this fight or flight that we call panic, we can hear it coming. And we can go, you know what? No. It's not necessary. What is there to actually be afraid of? Step off the wheel and observe it. Feel the panic. Last time it happened to me, I was at the gas station getting a sandwich. Man, it was intense. I was dizzy. I was standing there waiting, and I was actually like woozy from panic. My heart rate was a mile a minute. It came out of nowhere for no reason. There was no reason. Nothing was going on in my life at the moment. I just, I felt the weather was nice. I felt like taking a walk. Right. And I observed it. Recognize what's happening. It's just the body reacting. It's an unnecessary triggered fight or flight response. And what triggered it? This is the thing that's important, MJ. What triggers a fight or flight response? Language. Language does. More importantly, the meaning behind the words, right? Language, what is this? Depends on the system, I tell you. In the language of numbers, it's a 2. In the language of body parts, it's fingers. It's both, but it's neither. At the end of the day, the thing that you hear or feel that tells your body that fight or flight is necessary, thus triggering a panic attack, is a product of personality. What bothers one person doesn't bother another at all, and it's just usually some event that you go back to or some trauma that you've suffered that elicits a response based on some imagery. A word can elicit that image of an experience or of some type of sensation that you had during an experience that can trigger that memory. But when you recognize that the memory itself and the person that had the experience was made up, just like you're making it up now, not making up the experience, but making up your personality, your the character you're playing. The character is the one that has the panic attack. The character is the one that has the vocabulary that's utilized to elicit that trigger. And so the mind portion is the most important. And what this is telling us, when we see this, the Wheel of Fortune come to us in the mind section, is to step off the wheel. Now we're going to move here to the heart. In the heart section here we have Aries. It's the Sun in Aries. It's the Emperor card, but this is the Emperor card of like the thrice great. This is the idea of like wanting to be virtuous. Your heart wants to feel like you're doing the right thing, but you actually deep down feel like that you're not capable of it. Almost like that, like, no, I come to terms with who I am and I'm just going to like give in to my assholeness, or I'm going to give in to my uncomfortableness, or I'm going to give in to my loneliness, or I'm going to give in to my smugness, or my cynicism. Whatever the dark part of your inside that you're shining is, it's not what you want. There's a part of you that's recognizing that, no, that's not working. And what I'd rather do is to cast my own light. But in this particular circumstance, there's 3 particular lights. And each one is an individual part of you. One is your mind. One is your body. One is your spirit. And each one has its own will. What is the will of the mind? To be heard. To have an idea and roll others in that idea. To have a worldview to be reinforced by everybody else, right? To have ideas that you feel like you belong, that you're not the outsider, unless you want to be the outsider, in which case that's your currency, then so be it. But you want your mind to be treated as as authority. When you speak, you want people to pay attention to what you're saying or have an authority in that. Now, it's the same idea with the body. You want to feel like you have control of it. But the virtuousness here is a different story, because essentially the idea of the body of the Emperor, in this particular case Aries, if you imagine the energy of Aries, the cardinal form of fire, that authority is earned. And so that means that there needs to be a level of discipline when it comes to your debauchery. It's time to sort of maybe consider reducing your excesses. Now, that doesn't mean stop enjoying yourself. That's very different. Temperance and art are a beautiful combination of doing, experiencing the things you like to their absolute nth. In fact, you're going to experience it more than you ever have. But just the things that are beneficial to you, the things that actually bring you joy. Virtue in the heart comes from knowing that your actions are correct, knowing that your thoughts are correct, meaning that you're going to have an angry thought. Don't act on it. Have the thought, entertain it, realize where it's coming from. It's a place of weakness, and so you will anticipate the harm of others as a form of feeling empowered, and that's a normal sensation. And so go through it. Have the fantasy about someone hurting and feeling good about it. But then let it go. It's not really who we are. It really isn't. And they're just as broken as we are. We're all equal. Doesn't mean we need them in our lives. But if we're being authentic and we start to cast our own light, we're going to draw people in that are correct anyway. And so it'll fill that space. We won't even need to worry about those people. Let them go. But emotionally, we have the ability to, through the act of virtuousness, be correct across the board. Our decisions about what to eat and the type of activity will change and will be correct and naturally correct. It'll be easy for us to make those decisions about, do I want this or not? When you're aligned and feeling good, you think twice about the second or third Big Mac, right? You think twice about, smoking that second cigarette. The idea is that, listen, eat the Big Mac, smoke the cigarette, but you don't have to have two. You don't have to have three. You want to have some type of relationship that's empowering and makes you feel good, that's fine. But don't make them fall in love with you and then lie through a relationship for years, waiting for them to be the thing that you hoped that they were before you recognized that they were never going to be that, and then got into a relationship. We always do it. I've done it. Most of the people who are going to watch this an hour later have done it and are going to do it again. You don't have to do it again. The Sun in Aries is an important lesson emotionally, and it's the idea of the heart of a ruler. This person does what needs to be done. They rule through their actions. The respect is earned. They don't rule through fear. And so you have to be the person on the outside through your actions that you want other people to see you as. Be it. As a towel, I make t-shirts and stuff on the side, just little doodads that I put stuff on. And there's a t-shirt that became very popular, which basically says, be the person your dog thinks you are. Be the person your dog thinks that you are. Like, that's true. And let's just, take the wisdom Kabbalistically backwards, be the person your God thinks you are. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to see what I see. Which is literally a beautiful infinite point of reception that knows nothing more than itself. And that is eternal, immortal, infinite. Before the nonsense that convinces you that you're less. Now here's the happy ending part. This is the thing that's manifest right now, like the world that you're in right now. And what this is this is what the individual looks like when they step off of the wheel. Right? We have the baboon down here on the wheel, but when you step off, he jumps down to join you. We have the winged Orphic egg. We have the 4 tools being wielded. Perfect balance. There's a lot of symbolism in this card here that just shows an individual that is in control. Notice all too the Mercury in the mind, right? Like the caduceus is in unison. They're in the same coil. They're in the same direction. There's symmetry with respect to the higher and the lower thought. And so this is the state of in the pocket, channeled. And so there's no question. It doesn't even cross your mind about whether or not you should do something or it become an interrogation or a question. It's just doing, because you're being. When you're being the thing you want to become, you're going to do the things that the thing you want to become does. And just naturally, because you're being it, embody it. And when you embody it, it's easy. You get up and you get ready to go and have your day instead of, hitting the snooze 3 times. Because you know what? Billionaires don't hit the snooze 3 times. You want to be a billionaire? Do what billionaires do. You overdose on caffeine, get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, put a cot in your office, and you sleep insanely, like, 1 hour here, 1 hour there, until the thing that you're trying to create is perfect. And then you spend the rest of your life trying to enroll everyone in how perfect your thing is. Right? Do it. And you know what happens if you do that? You embody that and you do that. You will suddenly not have to embody it anymore. You will take on its form. It doesn't happen on the wheel. When you're standing on the wheel, you get shook up so much that you don't have a chance to become anything. There is no formation. It's kind of like forming yourself out of a clay sculpture, leaving it to dry, and then letting it out in the rain. So it just gets washed away every day. It's never going to work. There's no thing that you can anchor to. How do you go about that? Get off the wheel. And by getting off the wheel, what we're talking about here is the recognition that you're going to have thoughts come to your mind, and then now just every once in a while, just stop and observe them first. And ask yourself, who's speaking right now? The bottom line is if you're feeling pleasure in other people's pain, that's not you talking. That's not how we work. Recognizing pain in another allows us to hopefully avoid that suffering in ourselves. But when we see somebody else suffering and we find pleasure in that, that's dangerous to ourselves. Because it breaks the part of us that's designed to allow that to happen correctly. It breaks the portion of us that sees the joy for what it is and pain for what it is and attempts to destroy the pain. And so we have to be diligent, and we have to be open to allowing that to happen so that we don't fall into the trap of denying ourselves the pleasure that we deserve and the people around us as well. So I'm going to pause in the meantime. I'm going to take a look at the stream here and make sure I'm still online. I haven't looked up at the chat here in a moment, and I'm looking up, and it's been quite some time I've been speaking. So let's, but we're at the end of the higher world version. I'm going to throw some cards down at the bottom, and we'll take a look at those, and then we'll go from there. But I just wanted to pause and ask if you needed any clarification, or you have any questions about what I've read so far, and then we'll go from there. Chocolate. Who likes white chocolate? I love white chocolate. Awesome. Thank you, MJ. By the way, I'm a Michael Joseph. Those are my MJs. Michael Joseph. Okay, good. All right, so I'm going to shuffle a little bit, and then I'm going to throw 4 more cards. The 4 cards I'm about to throw are going to be the lower world version of everything we just talked about, but it is going to be a different perspective. Maybe I'll use the Rider-Waite for that, to make the contrast. I think I'm going to do that. It also lends the opportunity for us to get the same card twice if fate would see that. And so that can't happen if I don't use the same deck. So let's do that. Let's give these a quick shuffle and then we'll continue. Matthew John, cool. It's hard to put back at a significant card like that when it pops out, and so I'm just going to leave it out. It's actually a great card because it talks about the death card is the instructions for stepping off the wheel. I mean, literally, the instructions for stepping off of the wheel is death. The tower. Giving into the tower. I don't read reversals, and so if I turn them over, it's okay. Milk chocolate's good, dark chocolate's good, white chocolate's good. But white chocolate it's a different kind of chocolate. It lacks the thing that tickles the pheromone spot in our brains that only comes from real chocolate. White chocolate does not contain that. It's just the cream, but it's just the cream. It's kind of like when you get an espresso and it has that crema on top and you sip the crema. You're not going to get the full experience of the espresso, but man, is that good. That's white chocolate. And so the best way to experience it is eat the white chocolate first. Don't chew it. Melt it, suck it, let it be the entirety of your mouth. Experience the whole thing. Then the milk. Chew the milk chocolate. But savor it in that same thing. Once it's melted, swallow it. Then go for the dark and chew and swallow the dark. And if you go through those three experiences together, you're going to have chocolate. You will know chocolate. Oh, yes. Because they're all different, right? They're all different experiences. There's only one card in the tarot that actually means love, and that's the Two of Cups. Okay, so I'm going to shuffle these in reverse real quick because they're bending and I want to bend them in the opposite direction. Flatten them out a bit. Okay. Okay. So now, very similar to the first reading, except this gets swapped, meaning that essentially we have the will, your will, and in here it was your divine mind, but down here it's your profane heart, what your heart wants. Here it's your divine heart, and here it's your mind, what your mind wants. And then here it's the same thing, the manifestation of the divine body, but in the lower world, physically manifest. So let's take a look at that. It's often read as charity. And you have this person here with the scales that's like handing out money to the person in the yellow. And the person in the blue is there kind of waiting for his. And so you have three people here. You have the person wearing the red outfit that's doling out the money. You have the person in the yellow outfit that's receiving that money. And you have the person in the blue that's wanting that money. Let's speak the language of element for a moment. Red is fire, the will. Yellow is the mind, air, the sword. Blue is the heart, the cup, desire, want. So we have all three. We have the will, giving. Who is the will deciding to give to? The will is deciding to give to the mind, not the heart. The will is letting you know, start paying attention with this for a minute. Don't worry about the heart for a sec. Okay? We're going to be here first. This will be in alignment when this is in alignment. This will never be correct until this is correct. When this is correct, this will be the right shape and will let in the thing that will fulfill it. Until this is, suffering forever. That's why the heart's wanting. But that's okay, because that's what's in the heart's pocket. The heart has something in its pocket. Right there. It's a red card. Little red card stuck in there. What is that red card? It's a theater ticket. A theater ticket? Yep. So he's not poor. He's got tickets to the movies tonight even. He's wearing blue. Blue's not a poor color, right? He's actually kind of clean. He's not dirty. This person's all ragged. This person's not ragged. You know what that red ticket is? It's a piece of the red. It's a piece of the will. That's actually in there. It's actually there. Inside of your heart is a little piece of that will. And that will is currently being manifested in debauch. However, it wants to be manifested in mind. Now, how are we going to do that? Well, we move to the next stage. Death. Die daily. What does dying mean? Dying is permanent. There's no going back. It's not like you can change your mind, right? And now if we look at this card, way in the distance back there, we see that sun rising in between those two pillars. Those are the pillars in the moon card, and right beyond those pillars in the moon card is the place where the hermit lives, in the darkness. And it's in that darkness that we dissolve and that we reform. Okay? And so what death is referring to here is the opportunity to literally do that. Now we have here the Three of Wands, and the Three of Wands is actually showing up under the Two of Cup, which is great because this is sword into cup, and that's how it's supposed to be. Cup into sword, sword into cup. We have the 3 going into the 3. Even though this is a 2, it's actually 3. We have the Two of Cups, but then we have the Seduceus, the angel, descending in between that's feeding both. That's that coil, which is the singular divine mind of the red lion. The will being carried up into divine, the winged lion. But what this refers to is that correctness leads to this situation. The love will take place when the will is virtuous as opposed to addicted. And finally, we have here the body part. This is the deal of you have to stop pretending that you're one thing or the other so that people will like you. Or there's this idea that you seem to be very magnanimous, and that's okay. I know that feeling. So am I. I'm a giver. I'm constantly, please like me. I'll do whatever you want. You want me to carry stuff that's like way too heavy, then I'll even hurt myself and whatever. But I mean, as long as you see me do it, right? I mean, and then you like me, right? Doesn't work. It's not sustainable. So what you have to do here is to recognize that. And again, when you're being correct in yourself, you're going to attract people that are interested in you as an individual. They're attracted to your character, not your lie. And those people won't care if you put a couple of these wands down and tell them no. Like, listen, I'm very busy. I'm sorry. I'll get to you as soon as I can. Tell you what, why don't you grab 3? I'll grab 4 even. And we can do it in 2 trips. Just help me. You don't have to carry all the sticks. Now, what is a stick? The stick is the will. There's 10 of these. They're not all yours. This is a person carrying other people's wills. That's okay. You're allowed. If that's who you are, then go for it. But don't let it consume you. Carry what you're able. People will be okay and recognize that. Now, at the end of the day, what you need to do here is to give into this process. And what I mean by that is that as you begin to awaken to the intolerances, there's going to be things that come to you that you never would have considered that you care about. There's going to be things that come to you that you used to care about that you suddenly can't stand. These are all signs that you're on the path, that it's happening for you. And so we have the opportunity to take that to another level and say, okay, well, now I can develop some learning from this. And so the next time a desire enters my mind or my heart or my body, because these are different, I can begin to hear it from the correct perspective and speak to it in its own language. You can't speak to the heart with words. The heart doesn't speak words. It speaks feeling, sensation. The body too. The body speaks the language of sensation, but different than the heart. The heart is more distant. It's subtle. It's not real. The body is 100% real. The sensation is real. It is charges moving up of nerves going in and being processed. It's a physical, a 3-dimensional, empirical system. But there is a union there. The feeling that you have if you pinch yourself in the cheek is a real sensation. But there's also an analog in the heart. Ooh, it stings and it's maybe negative, or it feels good because I had an itch in that spot, whatever it happened to be. But there's an analog of the sensation here physically in the real world and in your heart. The emotion, the emotional sensation of the act of pinching your cheek. And then there's the mental state. How hard am I pinching? Could I pinch harder and I'm just being easy on myself? Does it feel bruised because I had bumped that spot before, or because my puppy gave me a nip or whatever in that same exact spot? Whatever the case may be. Each individual part of our system will act and react to that circumstance differently. And it's very easy when we attempt to go through the steps to develop that vocabulary. It's actually born in us, and we forget it. But no, that's actually not true. It becomes veiled. We don't forget it. It becomes veiled, and we can lift that veil. And when we do, the vocabulary is open to us, and that allows us to speak the truth to ourselves about things that we want or don't want. It lets us define the why. Here's the bottom line, MJ. And I know because I'm in the same place. You don't want to be alone, and I understand that. And what that means, though, is that you're looking for a partner to share life with. But what life are you going to share if the partner that you choose doesn't even know who you are? Is choosing to share that with the person you're pretending to be? And how can you choose a partner for a journey if the journey that you've chosen is not you choosing, it's the ego choosing? So you don't even know if that's what you really want. So by going through the work, destroying the old personality and allowing this new thing to form real time, just giving it a chance to form real time, what that does is it gives you the opportunity to make the proper decision about who it is that you join this journey with, why you pick them, what it is about you that you think that they are fulfilled by. And are you really that person, or are you being inauthentic? And so ultimately it's just going to fail. These are important questions. And it comes down to a couple of really, really serious points here that I want to get to at the end to kind of put a bow on this. Constantly choosing excess in order to fulfill an empty space in your heart does not work, because the thing you're filling it with is not the actual shape of the whole. So it's not going to work. It's not, forget not sustainable. It's not effective at all. Step off the wheel. A majority of the panic that you're experiencing is the fact that you are reacting to the ratio difference between your expectation and the reality of the situation. You're being triggered. The triggers are real. The panic is real. But the thing that is being triggered is a vocabulary that is chosen by your fake self. The self that we identify with that's not real. And the way that we're able to get off of that wheel is literally that. Step off. And how do we do that? Destroy the character. Destroy the vocabulary. By doing that, it allows us to now be correct. And when we speak, we understand that it's the ego talking, but we're the one giving it the words. Love will come. Forget about being lonely for a moment. Be right. When you're right, you won't be lonely, because you're going to have people banging your door down. They're going to want a piece of what you have, which is your true, authentic self. You shine the light of yourself instead of reflecting the world, which is what we've been doing. And so what do we attract? The world. The world's ugly, man. It's fucking toxic poison, the world. People. People are love. People are light. When we cast our own light, we draw the attention of people who love that color. And so it's going to be natural when they come into our space to fulfill us, and us to have the desire to fulfill them, because it's what we're here for. Finding the other. How do we find the other? By putting our authentic self out and simply speaking its name. It'll come running toward that sound. It has been there since the beginning of time, looking for you, just like you're looking for it, I promise. All you have to do is speak its name, and it's there. That's all you have to do. How do you learn its name? It's your name. We have to learn your name. That's our job. It's not Matthew John. That's cool. It's biblical. But it's not who you are. So how do we do that? We die. We give in willingly. We close our eyes, we run, and we just leap off the cliff. That's really it. And then when we recognize that there was no ground to land on, and that we never actually left anywhere, we're just floating in the middle of space, imagining ourselves, we get to decide who we're going to become. That's the point. There is no finding yourself, Matt. There's no finding yourself. We are constantly in a state of unfolding. We're constantly in a state of creating ourselves. We're constantly in a state of agreeing with our ego or denying it and becoming the thing that we want to be. You're a human being. The noun. It's a noun. It's a thing. But that's not what you are. What you are is the verb. You're a human being, Matthew. You're a human being lonely. You are not a human. And you are not lonely. So what I would recommend is, I'm going to pull one more card to kind of give us the final guidance. But what I recommend is that you just kind of go back on this reading, watch it again, kind of take it in, maybe take some notes or consider what it is you want to talk about, and then reach out to me. Don't worry about any other monies or whatever the case. We'll call it the end of this reading, and we'll just review this, and I'll give you some guidance on steps that can be taken to maybe develop some of these techniques I'm talking about. How do you step off of that wheel? What's the actual process of dying mean? I can walk you through it. I've done it before, and I can do it again. And who you are at the end of that process, I don't know, but I guarantee it's nothing like who you are right now. Right, so I'm just going to pause and ask how you feel about what we talked about. And if you have any questions or need any additional guidance, or are we good? And then we'll go from there. And I'm going to pull one more card to kind of put a bow on it. Gabrielle, which card were you talking about, incidentally? Fortune? Is it the purple? Please tell me I'm still connected. I don't know how long the delay is, actually, so if I ask a question, I really am not sure exactly how long it's going to be before I hear an answer back. But what I'm going to do is assume that... See, MJ's been in here before, so I'm going to assume that you know that the video will be up. Right, and so please just check it out later as well if you didn't catch the whole thing for whatever reason, and just reach out if we didn't get to the heart of what your question was, because the goal is to find the truth here, and if I didn't, then we just have to look a little further. And so it's just a matter of going through that process. I am connected. Okay, good. I'm feeling connected. All right, let's see. This thing has been listening for a long time. I'm going to let it speak to me and see if it has anything to say. Let's see if I can feel a little buzz from somebody out there. Okay. 27, 17, 20, 20, 27, 17, 72. How weird is that, right? Weird. Okay. All right, MJ. I'm not seeing you, so I'm just going to say I appreciate it. If you need anything further, let me know. If you want any clarification on what we talked about, just reach out. Okay. I know. And the stuff that you're going through with respect to the panic is real. It's real suffering, right? So please, I can help you. It's kind of out of the scope of a live tarot reading on a live stream. But it's not out of the scope of doing work together to really get to the core of what is the source of this panic, because it's older than this circumstance right here. Right? It's definitely older than this circumstance. So I just wanted to put that out there and remind you that I'm available. Okay. That said, I just need a moment to kind of step away, get my head straight, and I'll be right back. And then we're gonna move on and have some fun. Maybe take a look at that astrology situation again, see if I can fix my oracle since I dropped beads, and see what's missing, and fix that, and take a look at how to use the bead oracle along with astrology, along with I Ching, pull some hexagrams with this new oracle, which I can't wait to use live. I played with it a lot today as I was developing it, but it's going to be fun to play with here live. So, okay. Oh, great. Yeah, absolutely. And just give it a look. And if anything pops up and you need any additional clarification, then just let me know. Okay. No, and thank you. Thank you. And thank you for your trust. Thank you for your participation in the process. It means a lot. And you know, I mean it. Anyone who's worked with me that has bit on this knows that it's the truth. Reach out. I answer my voicemails. You know, it's not just a quick thing. Thanks for the $10 and I'll do a reading for you. It's a matter of, you know, I'm here to help you get through the process. The goal here is just to find the sign pointing to where you need to go. And that's half of the work. The other half is us walking together to get you to the end so that you can take that step on your own once you get there. Okay? And so it's in your hands. I'm available. And so thank you so much. All right? So I'll be back in a couple minutes and then we'll move forward with, we'll play with some toys. I love playing with toys. It's my favorite time. It's toy time. See you guys in a bit. Okay, let's play with some toys. So we have some options here. We can do I Ching. We can do the beads. We can do the beads and do an astrology spread with the beads. We can use the beads and do a tarot reading with the beads. We could use the tarot and do a tarot reading using tarot. We have options, right? So, or we can do story time with the trinkets. So I'll just put it out there. What do you guys want to do? You want to do trinkets? Do you want to do I Ching? Do you want to do tarot? Do you want to do astrology? Do you want to read from Kabbalion? Do you want to do the axioms? I'm feeling a little tired, so I'm going to be wrapping it up in about a half an hour or so. And so this will be the end of the evening. And so how do we want to end the evening? You guys tell me. I'm feeling like the cards are out, and I'm feeling like the cards right now. Definite card vibe. In the meantime, while I'm waiting for the stream to catch up, I'm going to pull out the beads and just take a look at what might have fallen out and see if I need to replace everything or if I found everything. Looks like we're missing a sword. Might have fallen in the dish. We'll check in a sec. Let's move on to the cups. There it is. It's in the dish. So she's accounted for. Okay, let's just make sure he is. Same thing. Okay, so 3, 6, 3, 6, 2, 3, 6, 7. He's accounted for. Okay, it's all here. Yeah. And it doesn't look like anything slipped in here either as far as planets or signs. Everything is still intact. Everything is in order. The will is in the correct place. We're good to go. So, that said, if anybody's out there and is still watching, I'm not sure if the stream dropped or whatever the case may be. I'm always in this weird kind of paranoid state of not knowing if I'm still online. And so if you could just let me know, that'd be great. And then I will move forward. And in the meantime, what I'm going to do is to get the planets ready and to put that back down so that we can do an astrology type spread, and then wait, and then maybe we'll pull some cards. Okay, so let's just got Scorpio toward the bottom. All right. So what I'm going to do is just basically drop them randomly and give it a quick shuffle around like this to allow things to sort of fall around the outer edge. And you'll see some of the things that just sort of have this idea that they want to stay in the middle. So I'm going to stop and just kind of read it from that respect, right? And we'll take a look at that from this respect. Now, the period of time that we're in right now is at the bottom. Let me get a pointer. Okay. So we can look at this a couple of ways. Like right now is the period of time that we're in here in Scorpio. And there's a couple of things that we're seeing appear here in Scorpio. The first thing that we see is Mercury and this biggie right here. This is Keter. This is the crown. And so the crown and Mercury, which are sort of like the equivalents, right? This is the divine period. This is the one only thing. And Mercury is sort of like the manifestation of it mentally. Pointing at Scorpio right now, like we're in this mental stage, this divine mental stage. And interestingly, right at the end of this period, sort of like capping it off, is divine feminine. So these all kind of came together, and the thing that is putting them all together is this is Aries, and this is this is Taurus. Or Aries, rather. Sorry, excuse me. This is Aries. This is Leo. And so we have Leo in between Justice and Scorpio, in the presence of the divine feminine. This is that idea of the strength card. But connected with it, moving into Taurus, right? We have going from Justice into Taurus is this energy of Leo through divine feminine moving into Aries. And now this right here is great. This is Psyche. This is hope. There's this emotional anchor in this earthy part over here. That's what this is providing. The Aries is providing the anchor. The strength is being provided, or in this particular case, the Leo is being provided by the air part, the Justice, right? So the divine masculine is providing the Justice through the feminine, kind of giving her that balance, being the balance, giving her that strength. And because he gives her that strength, she's able to deposit that strength through this idea of the Aries energy, this idea of that emotional stability. This is Psyche and Aries. It's basically this idea of having agency over one's emotions in this Earth center. So it's a very balanced relationship here between the divine masculine and feminine. This relationship is a very healthy one. And it comes from this place of having like this unified mind toward a specific goal, this Mercury energy of like communicating some truth. And it's a very deep karmic truth. Now, there's only a couple of things here as well. Let's look at the significator, which is coming from Pisces and pointing into Aquarius, which is just quite beautiful. We have the moon energy in Pisces, moving into Aquarius, which is heart into mind. It's the idea of the Pisces energy of the intuition and the idea of the person, the part of you that is empathic, that cares about others, is moving into Aquarius, which is the practical side of that. The ability to take that and to communicate it back to them. So what this is the idea of just that, taking this divine idea and synthesizing that into a message through the masculine energy and making it manifest through the feminine as the sort of leadership of that emotional state. that's moving from this kind of potentially could be considered as a lack of control, but it's really just highly active energy of the emotional state of Pisces moving into this practical state of Aquarius. It's still emotion, but it's emotion from the respect of discussing and communicating and understanding it mentally. Now here we have a very interesting energy here, all right? This is Virgo, and in Virgo we have Scorpio, and we have Eros, love. Scorpio is the idea of scorn. This appearing in Virgo basically means that somebody's been cheated on or somebody has been wronged in love, and they're feeling very empty because of it. Gemini and Cancer, that's really, you want to talk about confused? Oh my God. And emotional confusion. Back and forth. What am I supposed to do? I love them, but they did this bad thing, but so I shouldn't love them because they did the bad thing, but I love them anyway because, but then it's a really very confusing state. And so what this is looking like here is the idea of stepping back, and we're going to swap roles here. We're going to swap roles. Because the idea is the Missy. Maravista Gire. I'm so glad you're here. I'm going to be giving out a name, and I wanted you to be here for it. Shushu has a name. Maravista has a name. It's time for another name. Kitten's receiving a name tonight. That's right. So one of the things that we can do is actually just read one of the houses. And let me just pop up the diagram so you guys can see what I'm talking about here with respect to the houses. Okay, this little diagram on the side reviews what those houses are, like the actual positions of them. Let's just put this in place. And so if we're looking at this looks like some type of union. Not necessarily a lover's relationship, but some type of connection. So let's just look at number 11. We're going to go into the 11th house, and we're going to see what's going on in the 11th house. Now, in the 11th house, we have some very interesting stuff going on. The first thing that we have in the 11th house, if you'll notice here, is we have Gemini, and we also have the significator of all significators, the other. The other lives in Cancer and Gemini. The other is an emotional wreck. Uranus, Gemini. Yeah, there's an emotional torrent here that's something that you're going to have to contend with, okay? I just want to show you some of the connections that we're looking at here because, right, if you see what's going on here, these two red connections are positive connections, but this one black one is not. Okay, this black connection is the one that's this Scorpio energy that's hanging out in Virgo with the love here, right? Let me get that better on screen right there. Okay, right. I don't know if these are going to actually sit. Okay, so you get the vibe here, though. And so this is where we're pointing. And now it's not going to work. Forget it. That said, though, this cross from here to here is an important distinction because this is bringing the voice into manifestation, and this is bringing the voice into the heart. So the thing that the world is hearing is, together we're going to be fine. It's okay, really. But what your heart is hearing is like, I don't know what to do, though. I'm confused because, it happened before. What if it happens again? And what's happening here is just the recognition that this is actually where the self is. The self is in this place of recognizing that you have to be open to that change. The change is okay. Try not to identify with either of these potential options because either one could be correct, but you just have to be open to letting it in and seeing it for what it is without trying to add too much to the definition. Because when we do that, we get rid of and we lose the opportunity for all the other things that aren't part of that definition. It's kind of like the Two of Sword or the Two of Pentacle. Holding both swords, which are two ideas in the mind without identifying with either. Or holding, juggling both pentacles, which is the idea of two possible things that can be made manifest without really attaching to either, so that they can both be made. And you can decide at that point which one is more effective. And ultimately, the 69 is a very big, important back and forth here. This conversation between the two animals of the Chariot card. Cancer is the Chariot. You have the person who's in the chariot, and then you have the two animals in the front that are the ones that are engaged in the act of moving it. One of them is the divine mind, the holy guardian angel. The other one is the ego. The ego appears in a number of different ways here, okay? But usually how it refers to is sort of this combination. It's the thing below the abyss, toward Keter, or Malkuth rather. It's kind of like that in-between place between 9 and 10. It's like the transitional phase between 9 and 10. So if we look at the tree, we can get some guidance on what that is. Just get the cross out of the way. And we look at the bottom there. There's a path connecting between 9 and 10. See that there on the bottom? Let me get my chart because I'm blind. Get my glasses, and I'm going to read you the guidance that's inside of that line, because that's the spot that we're looking for. Okay. Tao, the universe. Okay. And now the kingdom, the 10 on the bottom is where all physical manifestation takes place, right? That's where, if you want to manifest something, that's where it's going to happen. You enroll the energies of the higher world that descend, and it happens on the bottom after the fact, but that's where it's going to happen. So it's the idea of connecting those two things, and if they're in unison, then they'll get up and they'll pull the chariot, and if they're not, they won't, and you won't move. You're just stuck in that spot, and you're going to stay stuck. Okay, so now let's take a look at maybe some of the other houses here to get some guidance, and then we'll move on. Okay, so that's the 11th house. Let's look at some other houses here. Let me pop that back up. Wrong one. There we go. And let's look at... It seems like that there's some type of conversation looking to take place here. So let's look at 3. Communication and language. And what this refers to is your communication and language, the thing that you use to speak your truth, and what people hear with respect to that. Which, interestingly, the 3, the how, at least within the position that we're in right now, if we were going to do this in an actual reading, it would be there, right? So the first house would wind up in Aries, and then you go from there. But that's not how we're reading this right now. The way that we read these is that we put the period of time that we're in on the bottom. And so now it basically turns Scorpio into the 3rd house. Okay, so it's going to be roughly right there. And so the first house is going to be Virgo, second house is going to be Libra, and so forth. So right now we're in the 3rd house, which is the communication and language. Okay, and you'll see that that's going to be very familiar, because this is the period of time where we have this like transition of divine masculine from the justice moving into this Keter, and then you have Mercury right in, right? So Mercury is the communication right now. The language that we're using is the language of Hermes. How beautiful is that? The language of the Hermetic. Right, so the idea of Mercury, Thoth, Hermes, thrice great, right? Mercury, Thoth, Hermes is the same person. Pointing at the period of time that we're in right now as the communication means that the communication is taking place right now. There's a conversation happening during the period of time that we're in right now that's lending to this idea of the voice of the man being enrolled through this divine feminine, creating this sort of like emotional anchor that is being made manifest. But there's this confusion about this back and forth here, this fear. And so let's take a look at number 1. Number 1 in this particular case is That's that Hermit energy with that Scorpio and the heart. The question is are you the cheater or were you cheated? Are you the liar or were you lied to? Right? What is the nature of this relationship here? Because the influences that are coming up here are Saturn and Pluto. So these are both very hidden, very not necessarily forward with respect to communication. And they're coming up in the stage of the area of the Hermit, which is relevant to the fact of being darkness, solo, on your own, by yourself. So it seems to be that you're not the one that got wronged. But the thing is that this has actually created an emotional scar that has become made manifest as your being. And that has to be let go. You gotta let go. And so let's look at where the sun lies, because the sun is going to tell us the identity. And right now, the sun is in the cusp between Taurus and Gemini. It's moving from physical into mental, which basically means that the thing happened and now it's going to live in your mind, and that's a bad thing. You might move it back into physical, experience it, feel it, and let it go. If it sits in your mind, it's really hard to do that. Okay. Anyway, you get the idea, right? So this is the demonstration of basically how to read this. Let's catch up on the chat. Missed you guys. Absence has been unwanted. So okay. This is not personal. This is a generic reading of. Although if you're feeling something, then it's for you, and if that's the case, then we can continue it privately. But yeah. This is just a particular technique of like reading it astrologically, and so I was demonstrating it by doing a generic reading. But it is coming out very specific with respect to some things. So actually, what I'm going to do, I'm gonna take a screenshot of this. Let me move these over because I want them in the screenshot. Let me shuffle this and use these to actually get some guidance on what we're actually reading about here. Same thing here. Let's get him in the correct order. Okay. I just feel like I just pulled a spider web out of my beard. I hate that. Okay. Yeah, I was just digging through my basement a little while ago, and I got all kinds of. I don't even want to talk about it. Let's just say the spider is my spirit animal, and it wants to talk. It wants to meet, and I'm not happy about that. Just because it's my spirit animal doesn't mean that I want it on me. Okay, so there it is, Michael. Okay, pause, read it, live it, love it. Okay, and I'm gonna look at this later. The intent is good. I have my temple along with the altar specifically geared toward a very specific intent tonight, and it's working. And so this reading is real, and somebody out there, it's for somebody out there, right? Okay, so then now that I have it set and I can read it later, I'm going to just move on. There's a few things I wanted to kind of show you guys tonight. So let's just get this cleaned up. Let's put the tarot side up. There we go. I'm not 100% used to the space yet. Kind of shuffled a bunch of stuff around. There we go. Okay. Are we good? There it goes. Okay. Alright. So then. Where is my... Okay. is going on. Everything is falling. Okay. Oh, all right, good. I didn't lose any beads. Okay. Alright, so once I have this all just put away, we'll decide what to do from there. I wanted to draw some I Ching using the new system here. Right, and so I think I'm going to do that. I don't know if you guys can hear Chloe barking. I think it was my fault. Maybe not. Okay. Alright, I think that was everything, right? Yeah. Yes, and actually this I can put back. Although it's empty, it's still relevant. Since the beads are in the actual garden's bowl, the dish right now, the vessel is empty. Because it's physically manifest right now, so its soul is just in heaven, kind of waiting to be filled back up while it's down here doing its thing in the world. It seems a bit snug over here. Let me just move some stuff out to make some give, so everything's not all. There we go. Much better. All right, let's catch up here. Wow. Okay, so yeah, this reading is definitely for you, Missy. All right, so then I'm glad. Run a chart on a real person. I guess we'll use yours then. Run a chart and then line up the appropriate stones on the actual chart itself, and take a look at it. Then shuffle it and then read it as if we would a transit. Okay, and so I think that's going to be an effective technique, and I would love to use you as a guinea pig for that. All right. Can't wait. I have all kinds of good ideas. I made some changes to my lantern. Okay. First thing is that I colored it, so I'm now using a blue ball. The ball is actually, it's more of a blue-green. And secondly is inside of the ball is its own garden of splendor that's unique. Okay, let me see if I can. Okay, it's unique to this particular oracle. It's not the same garden as the one that I use for my personal one. So that's one thing. Another thing is there's a second ball, and this second ball is for this is the combination of the masculine and feminine all put together. So I just have it in there ready to read. Okay, and so there's no additional mixing or anything necessary. I could just pull it out and read it, and I've actually grabbed it a few times today to meditate on. I love the color patterns, the way this came out. Maybe I'll just show it off real quick. I love the color pattern, the way it came out today. What can I pour it into? Actually, I have a clear bowl. Hang on. Okay, now what this is this is the union of the masculine and feminine for this oracle's world. Okay. There's no red. It's all very natural colors, right? Because again, this is the work of the hermit. This is the lantern of the hermit. This particular oracle is designed for doing the work of the hermit. And so it's not big, bright, beautiful colors, right? Everything is muted and toned down. This is the closest thing to red. Okay. And on either side is this beautiful spiral of the speaking and listening, right? And so this is it's a great oracle. I enjoy it very much. I enjoy the reading of the elements is very intuitive to me. And it's also a nice display where basically when this is all done, these are in here as the unfolding. And when this is closed, you have the garden sitting on top, and it almost looks like a lantern in itself, right? It looks like a bulb sitting inside of the lantern. It's a beautiful presentation, to look at. So let me just get this all put back together, and then we'll move on. And now eventually, again, there will be LEDs in here with a small controller chip that'll allow you to change the color. And if I want to go crazy with Raspberry Pi or Arduino, I can give it Bluetooth, and so you can change color with an app type thing. I've looked into it. It actually won't be too hard to put together. It's just a matter of getting the components, and I don't have time to program each one on the fly, and so I may just outsource it. You know, once I have the code done, and I know what components, then it's different from that point, because then I can just automate it and just, you know, spit out a bunch of controllers that do nothing but, you know, through a Bluetooth, change the brightness, color, and so on, like on an RGB wheel type thing. Really? Yeah, well, you know, then turn your ear. Turn your ear. And so let's do that, right? That said, though, you know, I'll see what's going on for the rest of the week. I have a couple things popping up, and there's something I know tomorrow for sure. I have one request that I'm trying to kind of narrow down a time on, and so I might have a private in the middle of the day, but otherwise I'm available if you want to chat. Just get a different perspective, right? I mean, if the fates are screaming, sometimes just to get a different translation can make all the difference, right? So let's pull some I Ching and show you the process here of what my thinking was when putting this together, and how it could be used to derive hexagrams. One of the ways that I considered it is using the beads. Pull 2 beads and then use that to derive a court card, right? And that court card can be associated with a trigram. So 2 court cards gives you a hexagram. That's a very quick, down and dirty way. Another way, which is what we're going to do now, is we're going to use the seed method. Before I showed you the coin method, today we're going to talk about the seed method for deriving a hexagram, right? And then eventually we'll talk about how to use the beads and how to use the quartz and all that stuff. There are multiple ways to get to the same conclusion. And so we're going to look at one of them. So what I did here is I have in this little pouch, there's 2 bead types, gold and silver. Okay, they're very roughly the same size, right? And now there's 2 ways that you can use these. You can either, which is what I'm going to be doing, just grab a pinch and count the number that you have. And if it's an odd number or an even number, decides the line. So this is 4, which is an even number. Okay, so this is going to be the feminine energy, or a yin line. And so let me just get my stuff and put these back in here. And you'll see we'll go. I'll derive each other line using the separate method, so you can see the idea of the 2 different methods of using what I put in this little pouch to derive your lines. Right. So let's just give it a shuffle. Let's make some room here on the desk. Okay, so I just want this present in this space. So I'm just going to put it up here. Okay. And the thing that I'm going to be invoking is just the yin-yang. Okay, so I'm just going to have the yin-yang up here as the energy that we're invoking. Oops. I've lost my divine masculine. The glue came off. Which, again, I kind of knew it would. This is not a permanent solution. This was me to have something to be ready for tonight to talk about. And I'm going to be polishing it up tomorrow. Maybe even adding some color or some other things. We'll see. But ultimately, I want it to be what it's supposed to be. So I'm not going to add anything to it that is not necessary. So the first line that we derived was a yang line, or a yin line rather. Okay. There you go. These are brand new. I got to get them going. Okay, so that's the first. And the way I did that is I just took a pinch and I counted them, and they were even, so even equals yin. Another method is that if it's gold, it's male or yang. If it's silver, it's female or yin. Okay, so that's one of the gold ones. That's one of the silver ones. Okay. And so basically you just shuffle them up. Pick one at random. All right, that's the yang line. And now I'm just going to go through the next one, which is to pick a number of them, drop them, count them. This is a 5, which is odd. Okay. You see the method here? Very interesting. Quick and simple, down and dirty, gets the job done. It's an odd. Even. Even. This is the 32nd. We're starting from the bottom. Is wind. And the next one is thunder, which puts us at 32. Okay. Now I'm going to do the nuclear right away. So I'm going to take these two as the new bottom, which is going to be heaven. Let's make that a little neater. And then I'm going to take these three as the new top. Okay. So we're going to starting, the lower trigram is going to be heaven. The upper trigram is going to be, looks like lake. All right. And so that's 43. So we're starting at 32 and transitioning into 43. Okay. Is everybody clear on how I derive that? Or if you have any questions about that, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to grab the book and we're going to look at the guidance. I have Moon that does that with Bluetooth. Oh, Bluetooth. Oh, very cool. I think I've seen that. Was that a, what's that website? Like Geek and Sundry, or no, what was it called? I forget. Think Geek had a moon that did that. It like changed color. Yeah, I actually thought about buying one once, but there's something to be said for color, you know, with respect to mood and magical work. Can I grab this book without like dropping a bunch of stuff? I've been so clumsy all night long that I'm like worried. No. 32. constancy. Be constant, it is right. Now is the time to be persevering and undertake something. Now is the time to undertake something. The upper trigram represents thunder, a strong force. The lower trigram, wind, is a gentle force. Neither thunder nor wind has the attribute of constancy, so why is the hexagram called constancy? Wind and thunder often occur together, but only in particular times and under certain circumstances. Neither wind nor thunder alone connotes constancy, but the laws and conditions under which they operate are constant and eternal. If the universe were completely still without the generative energy of thunder or the persistent action of wind, there would be no life. It is the movement of all of the heavenly bodies and the incessant flow of energy that reflects the constancy of the universe. On Earth, as it is the change of the seasons which expresses this constancy. Let's take a look at it at particular lines. Okay, so now we want line guidance, but we didn't get any changing lines, right? So how do we find changing lines with this system? Well, here's how you do that. The easiest way to go about that is to take a pinch, grab as many or as few as you feel like, but grab a pinch of beads and put them down, and then we're going to count. If it's 1 through 6, choose that as your line. If it's greater than 6, subtract 6. So I just grabbed a pinch. One, two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 minus 6 is 4, the fourth line. There is no prey in the field. One's constancy is weighted. You will not discover game while hunting in an empty field, regardless of how persistent you are. Do not waste your energy. Wow. Fish where the fish are. Right? Fish where the fish are. If you keep throwing your line in the water and you're not catching any fish, that's because there's no fish in that lake. There is no prey in the field. Don't waste your time, right? Okay, so let's see how that transitions. We're moving into 43 from that. Resolution. Resolution dissolves evil forces. One should obtain the cooperation of a righteous force. Isolated and hasty action is inappropriate. The advancement of a cooperative, virtuous energy is wise. Traditionally, the character of Kui means change, or more specifically, revolution. Gur, the 49th hexagram, which has become known as revolution, actually means reformation. However, Kui more clearly depicts the revolution. In this hexagram, lake or rain is above heaven. The image is that of the high clouds gathering in the sky. Rather than emphasizing on individual trigrams, the hexagram as a whole will be considered. When the yang energy is allowed to grow to completion, fulfillment and true achievement result. However, the yin line at the top of the hexagram becomes an obstacle to the generative power below. Thus, 5 positive energies must break through the negative energy above. After a firm decision to break through that negative energy, the complete yang can be attained. Let's look at a line here, at a changing line guidance to add some additional understanding to that, and I'm going to comment on that in a moment. Basically, the generative creative force is being stopped by an out of control feminine energy at the top. It's kind of like an unconscious ego that's stopping the creative energy from getting anywhere past a certain point. And we're going to look at what that is right now by looking at a certain line guidance. Just pull any number. If it's 6 or less, take the line. If it's greater than 6, subtract 6. Okay, so I'm just going to take a pinch. Let's just do a quick count them. That's 7, 1. So the first line is the one that's relevant. Was that there as well? That would be an 8, which would mean the second line. I'm going to read the second line. Strength is expressed by shouting. It is necessary to keep guard even in the deep night in order to protect oneself from a surprise attack. The energy has grown. Darkness is above. This line represents a mouth and only allows the cry of alarm. One should be careful to not react in the shallow, impulsive manner. In the first and second stages, only observation is appropriate, not direct action. The darkness cannot be removed by premature radical emotional response. Keep to what is right. Basically, this is saying that, like, when you meet adversity, resist the urge to punch it in the face right away. Hear it out first. Take a look at what's actually happening. Is there an opportunity here for growth to take place? Is there an opportunity for there to be a mutual beneficial situation? No? Okay, well, are you actually in any danger? Yes? Okay, punch him in the face. Right? Are you actually in any danger? No? Okay, then put your fist down and stop screaming. Take a breath and let's talk. Look how pretty this came out. Didn't it just come out gorgeous? Right? And I finally got that piece stuck in there so that you can hook the side so that it won't open up too much. Right? That chain was just loose, but now I have the piece there that you can hook the chain on, which is impossible to do when you're facing the camera trying to do it without looking. But there you go. All right, so that it'll stay nice and pretty. And the oracle itself too it's like a mini version of the of my main oracle that I do readings with. It's everything with the exception of the 22 beads. That can be done separately, obviously, and is a very personal, intimate selection process. But I think this just came out lovely. And I just wanted to remind of this beautiful prayer. You are altogether beautiful, my darling, and there is no flaw in you. What a great prayer. Isn't that gorgeous? Really something. Actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take that yin-yang and remove it, leaving that space open for whatever happens to come in now without intent. The work's been done, and so I'm going to release the intent. The evening occurred the way it was supposed to. I feel satisfied that that took place, and so I'm just going to let go of any particular or further expectation, and just sort of thank the energy of the universe this evening for giving us what we needed. All right. So that said, that was a lot of fun. You can see how that could be used to generate a quick hexagram, to generate some quick understanding of a situation, or maybe a different perspective on that situation. And it doesn't really take a long time to generate the hexagrams. It takes less time to generate a changing line. And here's the deal with the changing lines. When you use the coin method, you usually wind up with too many changing lines. The seed method is very similar mathematically. However, not with mine. With this method, you ignore changing lines. You just draw the hexagram, and then later on, if you decide, if intuitively you decide you need more guidance, then you pick the beads and decide which line is changing or not. Okay, and so it gives you that guidance if needed, instead of going through some mechanical process that you decide that you need it or not. Let your heart tell you. That's the organ we use to do this anyway, right? So we might as well engage it in the process throughout the working, not just in the beginning, right? Oh my gosh. I have to laugh. So, that was fun. Yep. Let's catch up here. Could be, but doesn't matter. We're gonna get to. We'll do a full chart, and we'll do it all correct. Actually, I think I already ran your chart. I don't know if I'm not gonna open it up. My computer will explode. But when I don't have OBS running, everything runs smoothly. So, but yeah. And you know what else is gonna be fun with the beads? Wait till we get into this. Manifestation. It works. It works. You want to bet? You want to bet? It works. It's almost too good. No such thing. So what else did I want to talk about tonight? Axioms. Let's see, what time is it? Okay, yeah, you know what? It's time to wrap. It is. I gotta be right. I gotta be good. I have to do right by myself. It's 5 a.m. I do have some stuff going on tomorrow, and a lot of it requires my attention emotionally and mentally at the same time. The least I can do is right by myself as far as sleep and so forth. So, yeah, sleep right. Who am I kidding? Who here knows that I'm not sleeping tonight? I love that. I don't want to bet. I want to learn. This is a polarity oracle. Every bead in here is a positive or a negative force. It's a masculine or a feminine energy. The whole idea of this is that you just simply shake it and see the first bead you look that meets your eyes, and then you ask yourself, is it male or female? And that gives you a plus or a minus. It's really good for I Ching. It's really good for yes or no's. It's really good for just sort of exploring the element of polarity. But there's another very beautiful truth. As I was filling it, every time I put a black bead, I put a white one. Every time I put a red bead, I put a blue one. And so ultimately, every single bead in this container has another. And that other is in the container. It's like a soulmate oracle. And each crystal has a mate. And it's just a matter of being patient enough to find it. It's really fun. And so I use this also to pull hexagrams. I use it to, again, tell yes or no questions. I use it to determine whether or not that the reading I'm about to do is viable, or if I should just take it with a grain of salt, because the querent is seeking nonsense, or I'm not going to be intuitively connected, or maybe we'll have ego in the way or some other process in the way. This can really give you some guidance as to what to expect before you even begin the reading, if there's going to be something that you're going to have to work through, that you may want to consider either rethinking, stepping away and trying the reading later, or abandoning the work altogether, and doing it at a completely different time. But the fact is that it gives you that guidance. It's also a very quick way to draw a hexagram, an easy way to draw the hexagram by finding that polarity and drawing the lines up. And it's really, really effective. It's very quick at that. The goal here is to, whenever we can, when we are in our mundane lives and are trying to bring truth into it, is to speed the process up as much as possible, to kind of get our mind out of the game. And the way that we do that is to try to do as much work as we can intuitively up front, so that when it is time to do the work, that we're not doing math in our heads, that we're not overthinking the process, that we're not spending too much time stretching to try to find a truth that's obviously there, or that isn't there that's obvious. And so this is a good way to kind of get through the heart of that very quickly and easily before even beginning the work, right? Like you'll see right in the middle right now is a sword that's in a state of listening, and so that particular bead in the middle is an active energy but is also a getting ready to receive. And so with respect to the I Ching, this is going to be that idea of the lesser yang, the one that's on the bottom there, lesser yang. Okay, it's a little bit of masculine, a little bit of feminine, predominantly masculine with a little feminine. All right. Because it's a masculine energy in a state of listening. So that's that, yeah. Okay, I'll put that up later then. Let's put it in here for now. Great, well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. That's very thoughtful. I wanted to actually talk to you about that. There's a couple things that I wanted to speak to you about with respect to the work that's going on here that I could use your advice on. But that said, though, somebody out there is going to be receiving a name right now. And I'm also going to put a request out to that person. Okay, and what we're talking about is Kitten. I'm going to be leaving here in a couple of minutes, and so I just wanted to bestow the name and then have a conversation. She made an oracle. She made one. She made a bead oracle, and it is... Let's just say you have an expectation of what people are going to do. And I did. I had a picture in my mind of what she was going to do. She had talked about some beads and stuff that she had gotten. I actually was very privy, very, very fortunate to be privy to some of her thinking early on, sending me pictures, very intimate, like, oh, look at this thing. I thought, look at this bead. I'm like, wow, I'm like watching her make her oracle. How exciting. And then I had to go. I had a lot of stuff going on. I wasn't able to continue the process with her. So I said, all right, well, you're on your own. You're doing great. I'll see you later. And then she sent me a picture of the completed one. And I couldn't even really, I was in the middle of something, so I couldn't even, oh my gosh. It's so different. It's so awesome. What she did is actually something I can see like in a gift shop, and I would probably buy right now. It's really, and personally, and she doesn't know this. The subject that she chose is so personally, deeply intimate in my life, I can't even begin to tell you. So it's an accident that you chose that, but man, let's just say that character is, and I'm not going to out it. I'm going to have a conversation with her about maybe allowing me to share it on tomorrow's stream. Okay. So, yeah. I don't know. All I can say is when I saw it, I just smiled so big that all you could see was a smile. It was really something. But that said, though, you guys are going to love it if she lets me. Something tells me she's going to let me. She's going to let me show it. But that said, though, really, really special. So let's just, first of all, welcome a new member to the cult. All right, where's Emma? Emma, we have a new member of the cult. We're growing fast. I'm going to start charging dues. Okay. The one who's smittens with her kittens, who's so warm I do not need mittens. Hitherto you shall be known as Hazon Amiti. What did he say? Calzone, I'm going to eat you? No. Hazon Amiti. Hazon Amiti. Interesting. I wonder what it means. I guess we'll find out one day. In the meantime, that's a cool name. It's better than mine. Welcome to the cult. Bump. And I'll take mine with pepperoni in it. Love it. No mushrooms? I don't know. Some people don't do mushrooms. I'm a fan. So yeah. That was fun. And that said, can I please share pictures of your oracle with the world and show them how awesome what you made is. I would love to do that. And if you don't give me permission to, then I understand. But I'm going to show it anyway. So you might as well just give me permission so that it's not a shock when I'm showing everybody your personal, intimate stuff. Because it's going down. It's not good. I wonder if we're going to get, like, are we going to get nailed on copyright? No. Maybe. No. Anyway, I can't wait. It's going to be a blast. You guys are going to love what you did. Like, I'm really impressed. Did not expect it. And it totally, like, got this whole thing going in my head. And, like, now I'm thinking about all these different, it's going to be great. Like musical instruments, think about that. Like, imagine like a rock band. What does a rock band have? 4 members. The drummer, like, have a little drumstick for a wand, right? The microphone is the cup because it's receiving the sound. Come on, right? Little microphones for the cups. What would the sword be? The sword would be the lead singer. The speakers, a speaker. Yeah, like a martial head, right? Okay, all right. And so then what would be the pentacle? The stage. The audience. The record. It would be a record album. A record album would be the pentacle, right? So, I mean, how cool would that be? And now you can have, like, for the middle, for the 5 elements would be the band members, like, as on, like, a guitar pick with their face on it or something. So it'd be like a metalhead oracle. You get the idea. And that's because of you, Kitten. Because what you did, it was not. I never thought of doing that, and so I can't wait to show it to people. I can't wait to show it. It's gonna be a blast. So, yeah. But I had a lot of fun tonight. I really did. It was cool. Even with the hiccup and the thing got, knocked down in between, and then I think literally everything I touched, I dropped on the floor or fell or like, and I don't know. I seem to be lighter and better than yesterday, where I just was not coping. And so I'll take it. I'm feeling inspired. And I'm just going to run with that. So, great. Well, listen, thank you so much to everybody who joined. If you didn't join and you're watching this after the fact, you missed out, man. When we do live, the energy that happens in this room is awesome. And the more, the better. We start doing Gematria and bumping into like 4 people that all have a connection that we hadn't even considered. We start doing, I Ching, and it turns out it's for 2 or 3 people in the room. It's good. It's just great. It's really great. And we need to be open to it. And we need to share in that. And so the way that we share is that we all show up. And so join. Pop in. And, if you need any particular guidance, give me a call, text, email. We can either do it privately or here. My private prices are the same as they are here. Okay? And so let me know. Otherwise, thank you so much, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye. Absolutely. I'll speak to you soon. Have a good night, guys.